Because you were the Attorney General of California for, I believe, 6 years?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, sometimes called the state's top cop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got some criticism from your Democratic colleagues for some of the actions you took as Attorney General, but does it also give you the ability to explain to the police and to those who may not understand what defund the police means? Because some people may understand demilitarize the police or reform the police or restructure. When you hear defund, can you explain that in a way that doesn't scare some people?
Well, so first I just want to say that I have seen in my career as a prosecutor that police and leaders in law enforcement come to the table and join with a movement that is about creating greater trust of the system and in the system and of law enforcement. When I was Attorney General of California, we put in place the first in the nation for a state implicit bias and procedural justice mandatory training for police officers. And that was because law enforcement leaders came together with community leaders and said, we need to acknowledge the fact that all of us carry implied bias, but when you have a badge and a gun, and you carry that, it can lead to lethal consequences. So I have seen in my career how we can create an environment where people come together and acknowledge the truth, no matter how difficult that may be, and deal with it. To your point on this issue of there's a hashtag defund the police. I've never really tried to put anything that I think about in the context of a hashtag, but I will say this. We do need to reimagine how we're doing public safety. For too long, the status quo thinking has been to suggest that by putting more police officers on the street, you will have more safety. That's just wrong. When you look at it, the reality is that upper middle class suburbs do not have that kind of police presence. But what they do have, well-funded schools. What they do have, high rates of home ownership. What they do have, families that have meaningful jobs with salaries that allow them to get through the end of the month without worrying about whether they can feed their children. What they do have are small businesses that have access to capital. What they do have are access to healthcare and mental health care, and it is affordable. So when we talk about how are we going to achieve safety, which should be our collective goal, let's understand healthy communities are safe communities. So when in the many cities in America, 1/3 of their entire city budget is dedicated to policing, we really have to have an honest conversation about whether that is the smartest use of the resources. And by no means does this mean, for me, by no means does this mean getting rid of police, but it does mean taking a critical look at whether we're actually being smart with taxpayer dollars if the goal is truly safety. Because if it is, invest in schools, invest in healthcare, invest in jobs, and you'll have safe communities.
Folks, we have to take a quick commercial.